Hello, everyone. Welcome back to uh, my little presentation on the last 20 years of my life. So, as I have mentioned, I learned about the STS103 mission images frames 58, 59, and 73 in 2010. And 2 years later, I finally had a clear schedule and was able to devote some time to these mission images. Now, I had been um, making a record of historical UFO events running right through the last century, and I covered a sort of snapshot, bullet point, historical aspect of the UFO phenomenon, covering from 1898 to 1999. So I covered 101 years of historical UFO events going right back to before the birth of recorded mechanical flight. Um, Now, like I say, I had submitted the longest UFO report to the British Ministry of Defence for the entire year of 1999, as far back as December the 15th at 3:30 a.m. Well before I knew anything. All I had at that point was my experiences and my observations and my interest in trying to get to the bottom of what I had seen. So when I learned about NASA frames 58, 59, and 73 in 2010, um, it piqued my interest with regards to the blue white oval shaped UFO, which is seen in the background of that image. And I had personally observed the very same kind of craft repeatedly throughout that month. And I'll try and find it. I need to come back over. So we should find it here. Yep, there it is. So it wasn't until 2021 that I realised I could actually do this with my monitor settings. So I could bring the image up full size and then I could bring it up 5 times greater. So there it is there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a solid structured physical object. It is the same solid structured physical object which is seen in NASA frames 73. Have you seen the white oval there at the front of it? Let me just show you where that is. That light is coming from. So if we scroll over here to NASA frame STS 103-734-73, we'll look at this. This actual the partial double image you're seeing there is of the spotlight area at the front of this craft, which you just seen there on NASA frame STS 103-734-59. So this is a spotlight housing located at the front of this craft, situated there just beyond the headlights of this craft. So I went back and decided to see whether or not this object was indeed a reflection as had been officially claimed, or if this was a solid structured craft in orbit with Discovery and Hubble during the redeployment sequence. So I understood the relevance that this could have to my UFO investigation of the millennium and realised that if I could go on to determine that this was indeed a solid structured physical craft, then it would be tangible physical evidence that backed up everything I stated in my 2001 written account of what occurred during December 1999. I've got this blown up to 500%, haven't I? 400. Sorry, that's why I can't find it. So here it is here. And in 2012, while researching the events of December the 19th, I remembered that it was the day that they launched Discovery to go and repair Hubble. And these mission images, 59, 58, 59, and 73 all sprang back into my head. So I decided for myself that now that I had a free schedule and I was completely, had a blank schedule in front of me now. I was on December the 19th, and that's where my area of focus now was centred. So I decided to find out for myself whether or not this was a reflection or a solid structured physical craft in orbit. And I managed to get the URL addresses for not just this frame, but NASA frames 58 and 59 also. So it wasn't until I collected them all in one place that I realised that all the URL addresses were identical, with the exception of the numerical value of the frame number. So with that, I just began to change them, like so. And I was able to gain access to the entire mission rule 734. And it all started to stem from there. So now I had gained access to these mission images, I was able to start going through them all, and I set out to determine whether or not the craft which is seen in these mission images, mission 73, I wanted to see if it was a reflection or a solid physical object. So now that I had the URL addresses for NASA frames 58, 59, and 73, all I started to do was change the numbers, as I say, and I was able to start going up and down these mission images, like so, with ease. So there was no need to put in image request forms or anything like that. It was just a case of tweaking the URL address on each mission frame and going back and forth in time. So in August of 2012, once I learned that all I had to do was tweak the URL address to gain access to all these mission frames, I began in earnest to begin looking at all these mission frames and downloading all the ones that were of interest to me, all of the ones that contained anomalies. And I earmarked 10 images in the sequence. NASA frames 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, all of which contain anomalies. And I began to go through the sequence. So, starting with frame 66. Oh, it's just going to get lost here. It doesn't know that at all. There's no such thing as frame number 676. But there is a frame 66. And here it is here. Now, what's really interesting about this is, I've just picked up on something else that can you see the line directly above my box? It's almost horizontal. It is horizontal, but it's at a slight inclination there, a slight angle. There is a little laser light line directly above my head just now. I'll bring it up now. Bring it back down, and you can see there that there's something going on here. I've never noticed this until now. I have never noticed this until now, and we're on frame 66. So this is a new development for me. This is something I didn't expect. This is very interesting. Now, I didn't expect to find that there, but it's another new piece of detail that I can add to this body of evidence that I have put together over the last 10 years. So as I say, that was unexpected coming across that there. I will just keep a note of that in this file here. Now, so the mission sequence, frame 66, 67, and 68 all have yellow anomalous lights in the background, which have been described by NASA as non-Earth orbs. And they're not wrong there. But they should have been more accurately described as alien artificially constructed lights at the front of the spotlight of their craft. That would be a better, more accurate description of what is being seen here in the background of this NASA image. And it's not just this one, it's frames 67 and 68 as well. So aside these yellow anomalous lights that we see in the background, we also have all this area at the bottom of the image. And we have this sort of wavy striping going on. This was one of the things I couldn't quite put my finger on. So it was conveniently put to the back of my mind until the 4th of May 2022, when this mystery was finally solved. And solving this 10-year-old mystery resulted in solving this 10-year-old mystery at the top of the frame with regards to this partial double image that we are getting here. So this, as well as the striping at the bottom, help provide even more evidence that was absolutely, it actually opened, it was like a sinkhole opened up. Pardon me. It was like a sinkhole opened up below me when I found this, and I suddenly fell several layers deeper down the rabbit hole than I ever expected to go, and I thought I was being sure-footed. But this simple law of nature helped provide the evidence that shocked me to my core. It shocked me to my core. I did not expect to discover what I did from this simple bit of sunlight. It's not even sunlight, it's artificial light, I should say. So, yeah, jumping the gun. So this is frame 66. As I say, I've just discovered something in that I have never seen before. And I am over the moon at discovering that. So here we have frame 67, same again. 68, we have the same again. And then we jump forward to frame 69. Now, this is the particular frame in question that I spent a great deal of time on. This was the Rosetta Stone, and we're looking at it right now. To uncovering everything that transpired in these mission images was all down to that one little detail, and I will show you that just now. So here we have that detail, which is seen on NASA frame STS103-734-59. I'll pull that over. So we've got a little mini-me version of it here. And there it is beside itself on NASA frame STS103-734-69. So if I bring this up, that should be the right size now. And maybe one more. That should be us. So that area sits right there on that mission frame, and I will take that away now and put it beside it so you can see it. So the two of them are touching, and I hope you can see those details side by side. I really do. These squiggles, as I called them, went on to become the key to understanding everything. But I don't want to jump the gun. What I need to do is take you through these mission images and then show you this particular detail here and how it went on to help me determine exactly what is being seen in NASA mission frame STS103-734-73. So we'll jump forward to that just now and we'll keep this open. And here we have STS103-734-73. And if we zoom in on this particular area, and I come across, back down again. Okay, this area here that you're looking at, there's, I pulled it up on the mission photos itself, so there we go. So this area here that you've seen on NASA frame 69 is what you're looking at here at the direct left-hand side of this trench. So I think that'll need brought up one more. Can't get a happy medium. It's in between the two sizes. But that area there, which I am showing you here, and that's my cap off. That area there, whoops, I'll get there yet. Okay, so this area here, which is jumping all over the place. I can't get a happy medium between these two. What is going on? There we go. So this area here that I identified in NASA frame STS103-734-69, I recognised from STS103-734-73. So hold on, I'll try and pull the two of these up. So let's see, where are we? Okay. So there is that area there. And there it is beside it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you can see that, but there is a dark recessed barrel contained within that, which contains the left-hand side headlight of this craft. And there it is there. You can see the dark circle in between those squiggles with the line coming down over the top of it. That is the same area that is seen here with this craft. So this was a big indicator. This was my first proper clue that this solid physical object, which is seen in NASA frame STS103-734-73, this was my first real clue that this object was indeed sitting directly in front of the Hubble Space Telescope in frame 69. So there is the headlight detail from frame 73. I'm now go back to frame 69 and I'll show you that same detail again. So there it is there. Now, when I looked at this And then I looked at frame 73. Whoops, daisy, wrong one. Here we go. Okay. So, there we go. So hopefully you can see that barrel, that circular recessed barrel at the front of that headlight. And as I say, that is the exact same detail which you are seeing here. Whoops, on frame 69. Okay, so there's that there. Please don't lose this. So there we go. We have the same area lined up on two different photos. And the thing about this is that when we consider the angles that both of these frames were taken at, let me just show you this one here. Now this frame 73 was taken straight on. You'll see at the bottom of the window frame, that's pretty much level straight on. It's a direct photograph. But if we jump to frame 73, we'll notice that the photographer has moved and is now taking a photograph at an angle from the right, or to the right. You see that there? How the bottom of the window frame has now moved off to the right hand side. So there it is straight, and now it's moved off. But the thing about it is, with these two photographs, is there is no way that this detail sitting directly in front of us with the squiggles. I'm just trying to pull it up. Boom. That area there is no possible way that this area can suddenly now be a way over here, considering the angles that both photographs were taken at. It totally outruled any possibility that this could be a reflection based on the trigonometry of the angles that both images were taken at. Considering that detail was directly in front of the HST and just a couple of photographs ago. You know, it was pretty much hereish about this size, but now it's a way over there, and the trigonometry did not add up. So any possibility that this could be caused by a reflection was totally outruled just by comparing both of these images, comparing the size and positioning of this detail. There's no possible way that it could get to a way over there with the slight angle that was taken. If this was a reflection, and this detail would have moved away over to the top left hand corner. So it wasn't it wasn't a reflection by any means. So I made a point of going through all these mission images from 66 all the way through to frame 76 in 2012 to have a look and see exactly what was going on in these mission images. So I'll take you through them just now, and then we'll go through each individual mission image. And we'll just need to keep going till we get it hashed out, because it would appear that I don't have a pause button on this. So just need to go for a marathon session. Oh, it's like, so there's frame 68, sorry. Now frame 69, containing that feature. There it is there with the little squiggles and the headlight. And I should point out as well that they were not formally identified as headlights until June 2021. So that's frame 69. And then we jump to frame 70. We have evidence of a solid structured object still directly in front of the Hubble Space Telescope, complete with lasers being projected and fired around its hull. Now, we'll jump to frame 71. All 10 of these mission images seem to contain anomalies, which showed that there was activity taking place outside the orbiter. So, as I say, NASA had come out and stated that this was a reflection of the interior of the flight deck, which I found absolutely hilarious. And after obtaining photographs of the flight deck, it became pretty apparent very quickly that this was not a reflection. This was a solid structured physical object in orbit. So I discovered this on the 31st of August 2012. I determined for myself that this craft here was sitting directly in front of the Hubble Space Telescope in frame 69. And I'd done so by matching the detail there that I mentioned about the headlight with the area which is seen at in frame 69 with the headlight directly in front of Hubble. So here we have evidence of this craft again, frame 74. And then we'll jump forward, frame 75, frame 76. You know, I'm getting quite anxious actually sitting here because I've been recording with a wee program that only gave me 10 minutes. So I was always like having panic attacks talking because I was just scared that I would hear that wee bell going blung when I'd got two words to say and I'd be finished, you know. So even to record a 10-minute video, sometimes it would take me an hour because I kept getting cut out by just a smidgen, and I'd be like, ah. So I'm now using Vimeo recorder, which is unlimited recording, and I'm still sitting here expecting to hear that wee ping. So my stomach's in knots, and I'm still not used to the fact that I can now just sit and record and talk without any time constraints or without any stress about the clock running out before I've got to say what I have to say. So this is all a novelty to me at the moment, being able to talk and record and hash all this out for you without any fear of hearing that little buzzer noise going. So here we are on frame 75, and we have evidence of this craft now moved location away down here. So this was kind of evidence that this was a solid structured physical craft. Then we go to frame 76. And this is a last in the redeployment sequence that shows evidence of this structured object. And you can't see it. But what is more important, well, you can see it. It's down at the bottom of the image here. Let me just take you over. And we will zoom down. So we'll go to the bottom of this image and we will see remnants of this craft right here, just before it ducks out of sight. And that big black area you see there is a trench, and that trench was specifically designed as a laser guidance system to guide the lasers around the craft. So this was, this was the entire redeployment sequence, frame 66 to frame 76. And as I say, I made a point of going through all of these in 2012 and to determine whether or not the structured object seen in frame 73 was either a reflection or a solid physical object. So let's just go to frame 69 just now. Okay, so here is the craft, and it is sitting directly in front of the Hubble Space Telescope after approaching in frames 66, 67 and 68. Here is the detail here that I showed you was later identified as the left-hand side headlight of this craft. And I think that's the two of them up to scale now. And I'll just try and bring that over. So hopefully you can see both of them on screen. And this was my first real indication that there was something contained within this mission image. And I recognised this detail from NASA frame STS103-74-73, as I recognised the squiggles and the detailing from the hull of the craft, which is seen in NASA frame 73. So there it is there. And as I say, this was my first big clue that there was indeed something in this mission image, and it fitted the profile of this area here. And just bring that in a little bit more. A bit too much there, but bring that down. No, it came out. It's just too big. So there you go. You can see the circular area below that little stepped area at the top there, and all these features and functions went on to be formally identified with their purpose served and their design application. So it was absolutely fantastic to be able to go on and actually identify what these features were and what their functions served. So this is what I am going to try and present to you all just now. So I just don't know where to start with regards to going through all these mission images. I'm just looking now for a pause button so I can so we'll just put hide there on that. I do not know. There we go. I can pause it down here. Right, so we've been online half an hour now. I'm going to go and grab a quick coffee, come right back, and we're going to get stuck right into this. So we'll see you guys in a second, right? Okay, hi everyone. How we doing? Right, I'm back. I've got my coffee. Hey, let's go then. Right, let's do this. So, jumping straight to NASA frame STS103-74-69. I'm going to now take you to the Gateway to Astronauts photography of the Earth copy of this mission frame. And we'll get a look at this first. So this is it here, blown up somewhat. And there it is there. So there is NASA frame STS103-74-69. So what's really interesting about this is obviously we have this thing in the background. And we have these little squiggles. So considering that I already knew that it happened to match features that were reminiscent of what was being seen on NASA frame STS103-74-73 with this area here. Okay, this was identified in 2012 as the same area which is seen here. It is the exact same piece of equipment that you're seeing in both photos. And like I say, I went on to establish that these were headlights. So that is the same feature seen in two separate mission photographs. And this was a big indication that if this area here was the same area as this, then the area on the left there, which is seen in NASA frame 69, therefore had to be attached to this solid physical craft in NASA Frame 73. So this was a big eureka moment where I'm like, hold on a minute, this absolutely proves that that object seen in NASA Frame 73 is indeed the craft which is seen in Frame 73. So, let me see. Right, okay. So I started to enhance this detail on NASA Frame 69, and I was zoomed in on it at the time, and I was trying to enhance these squiggles to see them in their best opacity possible, their best visibility, to see exactly what was going on. And I didn't realise at the time when I was zoomed in on it and enhancing this, that with every single little edit that I was applying to this particular area was also being applied to the entire mission frame. So it was a shock to the system when I got that to a satisfactory level, and enhanced it, that the craft popped out of the image. And at first I wasn't sure exactly what I was looking at. I was like, hold on a minute, holy moly, what is this thing? This looks to be a solid physical oval shaped UFO. And I knew now from the area which I identified with the squiggles and the headlight as being connected to the solid physical craft in frame 73. So, as I say, when I enhanced that little area that you've seen with the headlight, there we go. I'll bring that down now, and I can pop that into position. So that sits right there, and I'll take that away now, and you can see them together. So that's the left-hand side headlight on this craft. So at the time, as I say, I had not identified this as a headlight function. For all I knew, this, I didn't know what I was looking at, to be honest with you, as far back as 2012. But I determined that that area there was connected to this object. And this object and this feature were obviously connected to this craft in NASA Frame 73, which was taken just a few seconds later. Now, as I say, I enhanced this craft, enhanced this frame, and inadvertently enhanced the entire image. So when I had got the headlight function, or the headlight area feature, I should say, the headlight feature, when I had got that to a satisfactory level where it could be seen, and I saved it, as I say, I was very surprised to go on and determine that it was connected to this big craft. Now, here is another rendition of the same frame, NASA Frame 69. And this was provided to me after I put out an appeal on, I think it was a World UFO group page on Facebook. And a gentleman in Germany by the name of Kai Stoffers, who is a digital creative artist, said that he would be able to isolate and pick out these details a lot greater than I could, because he was skilled in these areas. So he took NASA Frame 69 and he enhanced it for me. And again, it is just another copy of what is seen in the original, and can be seen on the National Archives copy that I pulled up. Now I'm trying to find that. There we go. So here is the National Archives copy, and I'll bring that up beside the copy that I got from Kai Stoffers. So if we bring that along and we bring this over, we can still see the details that Kai Stoffers was able to enhance and reproduce. Now, hopefully you can see there, I've not got them lined up dead on or anything, but I'll try. This is about as good as I'm going to get it. Let's see, that would be about rightish. So hopefully you can see there on both the National Archives copy and on the copy which was provided to me by Kai Stoffers. Thanks again, bud. In 2012, that this craft was enhanced, and I'd asked him to try and bring out the area containing this dark feature, which I discovered upon editing this image. This big dark feature was discovered. Now, this is where it all got very interesting. And this is where I go off on a tangent, because I need to give you all the circumstances, details, and snippets of information that were all up here that led me to go on to make my assumption of what was going on here, and my assessment. So I was staring at this dark detail for quite some time, wondering what the hell it was that I was looking at in this mission image. And the film Alien, the 1979 Alien movie, popped into my head with the craft, which is the craft that's on the planet with all the eggs in it, right? So that's popped out of my head. Because of the actual design of that craft, nothing was symmetrical, nothing was, it was an odd shape, an odd shaped craft. And so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, this is what's in the back of my head is the craft from Alien. And I'm thinking, well, it doesn't necessarily need to be. See, at the time, I'm thinking this is part of the actual hull of the craft. And I'm thinking, well, what the hell is this? But then I switched to tempo and I put on my photography cap, my photography cap, I should say. And I started to think like a photographer. And I had undertaken a class. I'll be back in 2003, late in 2003, and learned more about photography at college, and done an introductory course where I learned it was everything to do with like composition, focus, depth of field, all the basics, how light and darkness is basically the essence of photography and its relationship that they play with one another. That is the art of photography. So when I switched gears from thinking that this could be a feature of the craft and started to think like a photographer and realised that the reason that you're looking at such a sharp contrast between what is being seen around that area and the actual darkened area which you see, I've came to realise, and this is where it hit me like a ton of bricks. It suddenly hit me that this dark area that I was looking at on the HS on the hull of this craft was not a function or feature of the craft, but was being caused by something else altogether, something very rudimentary, something very simple, natural, and an everyday occurrence. And I realised that this dark area was actually being caused by a lack of light hitting that particular surface area. So as soon as that's hit me, I've realised, hold on a minute, if that is a lack of light which is hitting that particular surface area, then that light has to be being obstructed from reaching that area. And then I went through the checklist of possible obstructions which could be preventing natural sunlight. I didn't know it was natural sunlight, but which could be preventing the light from hitting that surface area. So suddenly I'm like, well, hold on a minute. If that's an obstruction, the only two obstructions that I can think of that could be possibly causing this are the orbiter or the HST. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks that the entire time I had been staring at the profile of the Hubble Space Telescope the entire time. Oh, hold on, I saved the day with my cat. He's been out all day, he's come in, he's had something to eat, and now he's desperate to get back out. So everything comes to a halt just now while I go and deal with this youngster. And I will be back in a moment once I have averted this crisis. So bear with me, and I will try and sort it out with him. I don't know what's going on here now. My cat interrupting my presentation here. It's no good. Right, bear with me 2 seconds, guys. Crisis averted. Yeah, we're all good. Right, okay, so I can get back to it now. Okay, that threw me. So, where was I? Okay, so August the 31st, 2012, I learned that the craft, which is seen in the STS103 mission images, was directly in front of the Hubble Space Telescope during its redeployment, complete with the shadow profile of the Hubble Space Telescope cast onto its hull. So, here it is here. So, as I say, I had been pondering over it, and then when I finally put on my photographer's cap and realised that this area was being caused by a lack of light hitting that particular surface area, I realised that it had to be caused by an obstruction. I ran through the checklist of instructions and then made the obvious conclusion that I was staring at the shadow profile of the Hubble Space Telescope on the hull of this craft. So I have realised, eureka, this was the eureka moment in 2012, that I now had solid evidence of this structured craft being present in this NASA image, complete with the shadow profile of the Hubble Space Telescope on its hull. And I have came to realise that this shadow on the hull of this craft validated this craft's presence in this photograph, because if there was no craft there in that photo, there would be no shadow to land upon. That shadow would just continue for infinity. They would just stretch out. So the fact that that shadow is actually there validates this craft's presence in orbit on this mission photo. And in doing so, I realised that I had just verified that the craft, which is seen in NASA frame STS103-734-73, that's not it, was indeed physically present in this NASA mission frame. So this was a eureka moment for me in 2012, August the 31st, 2012, after 12 years investigating these matters and looking for corroborating evidence of alien visitation to planet Earth. I realised that I now had secured that by going on to determine that I had now discovered the shadow profile of Hubble on this structured craft, the same craft that's seen in NASA frame 73. Now, world-renowned astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson once stated in one of his little podcasts that only perfectly round or tubular-shaped objects can cast perfectly round shadows, which is really interesting. And here you can see that this is perfectly round shadow, and the lower part there with the lower arrow pointing to it is pointing to the 45-degree angled solar panel. But what I'm going to do just now is I'm going to enhance this and bring this image up. Now this is from 2012, this edited photo, and it's sat for the last 10 years containing other hidden information, or not hidden, in plain view, but it just completely went under the radar until only several weeks ago, when a whole new series of discoveries was made on these mission images. Now, I'm talking specifically about the partial double image of the solar array, which is seen here coming down with the support bar. This is actually a reflection. And down here, all this area here where you can see a dark splodge just above that radio antenna. This has all been identified as well. And as I say, this went under the radar for 10 years. So I will come back to this and talk about this at the appropriate time, because I do not want to be jumping the gun. And here on this black and white image as well, the big long line there that you see behind the solar array is connected to a solid physical craft, which is still docked alongside Discovery in this mission image. But as I say, I do not want to be jumping the gun. I will come back to cover that later. And I'm now going to zoom up here. Forget about that highlight box. So let's concentrate on this area here. And I'm going to zoom in again. And we'll cut right across to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have the solar panel for the Hubble Space Telescope. And I'll bring this up further. So we have, I'll bring these down thinner. Okay, so you can see where that comes along and stops abruptly. And then if we trace it back along here, we will see that it's about to stop abruptly again. So I'm going to bring this up once again. Come back over even more. So if I now bring this along, we'll see that this stops right here on this very point here. So let me just fix this. There we go. And that stops right there. And then comes down. So I hope you can all see that. Now when I take this away, you will see these two 45-degree angled areas. And I'll take them away one at a time, and we should see them. So there's the first one, and there's the second. Let me bring them back in. And out. Okay, so that, ladies and gentlemen, is the 45-degree angled solar panels, which is seen, along here. So we have the solar panel and the barrel profile cast onto the hull of this craft. And I need to come over further. So there we go. That is the shadow profile of the HST. There is no doubt about it. So my next protocol was to go back and review the STS103 Flight 96 post-mission highlights resource tape. So I did that, and in doing so, I learned that the orbiter was bathed in natural sunlight during the redeployment, and the astronaut narrating the highlights tape talks about, I like this view, you see how bright the orbiter is, and the entire interior is flooded in natural bright sunlight. I checked with the NASA mission records as well, and it was quite clearly stated on one of their websites that the sunrise was occurring over Australia's Gold Coast as the redeployment took place. So I had evidence that there was a craft in the previous mission images 66, 67, 68. There was also evidence that the craft was still appearing in frame 70. So the very fact that there was something in the before and after shots told me that it had to be in this mission image. It just remained unseen. And that's what made me first look at this mission image and go on to identify the area that I went on to um, designate as the headlights after identifying them. So, and it's right in front of us just now. So the fact that something appeared in the before and after shots, frame 68, frame 70, was an indication that there was something contained within frame 69. Also, the fact that this headlight feature was also identified as being part of the structured craft on frame 73 was the other big indication that there was something in this mission image. Then we had the astronaut, I think it was Scott Kelly, mentioning how bright the orbiter was during the redeployment. And then we had NASA's own mission records stating that sunrise was occurring over Australia's Gold Coast as the redeployment took place, casting natural sunlight onto the Hubble orbiter. And obviously this craft, which has that sunlight obscured, obscured and prevented from reaching that surface area there, which just happens to fit the profile of the HST. So it was like, I had the frame before and after. I had the details of the headlight. Okay, we had astronauts, I think it was Scott Kelly, talking about how bright the orbiter was during the redeployment. So that's 4 points. And then the fifth one was the records saying that sunrise was occurring over Australia's Gold Coast. So I had something like 5 individual pieces of information that all verified that this is nothing less than the shadow profile of the Hubble Space Telescope in this mission image. So on August the 31st, 2012, pretty much the whole of the south side of Glasgow must have heard me going, yes! And then literally I was stuck to the ceiling for about 3 weeks before I was literally speaking in tongues for 3 weeks. This was the capstone to my UFO investigation of the millennium, to actually find, physical evidence with the shadow of Hubble being cast onto this object. Just basically, it was like mic drop, basically. It's like, hey, both drop a mic, walk off. So that was absolutely incredible to go on and basically discover this on these NASA mission images. And I knew, obviously, just the gravitas that this had for my investigation. to actually now discover something so substantial and so earth-shaking and so definitive, and it was coming directly from NASA.gov. So I was over the moon at discovering this shadow profile on this craft and the redeployment images. So I achieved my objective that I set out upon when I wanted to determine for myself whether or not the object that was seen in these mission images was either the interior or the reflection of the interior, or if it was something more exotic. And it turned out that I was absolutely spot on. So there is a side-by-side view of the Gateway to Astronauts photography of the Earth copy, along with its edited self, side by side there. And the details that were extracted from frame 69 in 2012 helped me determine that this was a solid physical object. But there were details within this mission frame that went under the radar for a decade before they were finally realised. And I don't want to jump the gun just now. I'll need to come back and discuss this at a later point. So that is how I discovered the shadow profile of the Hubble Space Telescope on the hull of this craft 10 years ago. And the knowledge that I gained way back then also came in handy last summer, going into this year as well. So I'm just going to deface this image for a wee second and show you this area down here. Oh, I'll need to flatten that up so you can all see it. So big yellow bar here, whee! And boom. So that is not part of the solar array. The solar array roller comes down like so. This area in the background here, you can see it's a little lip, maybe a couple inches, and there's light bouncing off it. And that became pivotal to understanding what was going on in frames 66, 67, and 68 of these mission images. And not only this little detail here, but this whole area all the way around here. Ooh. That any better? Nope. No, I'll just get rid of that and put a box on. And that never went away. Go away. Right, boom. Okay, so all this area down here actually also played a massive part in understanding what was going on in this mission frame. And once this was understood, it painted a very, very dark painting of NASA. And this is where I'm having heart attacks, left, right, and centre, panic attacks. They're not heart attacks, but they're not far off it. But I had a panic attack the other day regarding NASA's announcement of setting up a UAP task force. Can you believe that? My brother said it to me last night. He says, the very fact that you had a panic attack over NASA making an announcement is really worrying. And I'm like, yeah, it is. But what's even more worrying is the lies, deceit, and attitude of this fascist space force, which are basically shanning humanity to further their own agenda with these alien entities. And I am terrified at the path that these warmongering, sorry, excuses for human beings are leading us down. With the militarization of space and everything. Space Force! Fuck yeah! Sorry, children. But, yeah, it's very discerning. So I established in 2012 that that object was indeed a solid physical craft, and I went on to publish the results of this in in July 2014, July the 8th, when I published Corroborating Evidence, UFO Investigation of the Millennium, thinking that I had by then, taken matters as far as I possibly could, and was now closing the book on the subject. I thought, well, I've wrote a book on it. You can't get much better than that. I've done everything I physically possibly can, and it's now down to ufology to, accept this information, do what they want with it. Because as far as I was concerned, I had closed the book on the matter and was ready to go and get on with my life after all that time. But that sadly did not